Could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command out of course. I'm your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Day one of the NFL Combine is in the books. Did you see anything that you liked? Linebacker was one of those positions on display that we desperately need. I wouldn't rule out edge rusher, man. I keep telling you guys. And Ron, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ron was on the podcast. He was on the Combine telecast. I want to say it was during Group 2, which was the edge rushers towards the end. It might have been the end of Group 1 with the defensive tackles. I can't recall which it was, but it was earlier on in the day, towards the end of one of those groups. He came on. He at the end, he talked about Jerry Richardson's passing. And so one of the things that he mentioned is that can't pay everybody, so we got to be taking a look at some of these guys, defensive tackle included. We're paying Duran, though. I'm not worried about that. And, I don't know if you guys were listening, and this is the point that I've been trying to convey to a lot of you out there. And I don't think a lot of you really understand this concept. And I've tried to convey this to you over and over again. But Daniel Jeremiah, I thought he said it best. It's so much harder to find a force on the interior of your defensive line. Look, these edge rushers are coming into the league every single year, and there are 3 or 4 new guys that are coming in that are impactful right out of the gate. Every year, we're seeing another one of these young boys come in and be dominant. Or we're seeing 2, 3 more. Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker last year. These guys were impactful in their rookie seasons, especially Aiden Hutchinson, right? Every year, it's 1 or 2, 3 of these dudes coming in the league and winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, yada, yada, yada. How many of these interior guys that are disruptive forces are coming in the league and tearing it up? Not many, because they don't grow on trees. You saw the crop of defensive tackles that were out there running around the combine today. None of those boys, and they had Duran Payne on the simulcast today. None of those boys can hold a candle to what Duran and Jonathan Allen are out here doing. So for the camp that exists out there today, if you can get something for Duran, I say you trade him and you just draft a guy in the 3rd round. You're not getting Duran Payne quality talent in the 3rd round, let alone the 2nd or even the 1st, unless his name's Jalen Carter. You're not getting a dominant force in this draft at defensive tackle. Duran Paynes don't grow on trees. Montez Sweats grow on trees. You can find you another one of those dudes. Might not be the athlete that Montez is. May not have the length. He probably won't have the length that Montez has. Pause. But I'm just telling you right now, as we sit here on March the 2nd, 2023, I'm not re-signing both of those defensive ends. And I still can't tell you right now which one I want to re-sign, because I'm still waiting on Chase to show me if he's the Chase of his rookie season or if he's the Chase we saw in year 2 that won't bout shit. I still don't know. But I can tell you this much. I like Montez Sweat. I don't love Montez Sweat. He ain't made me love him yet. And I want to love him. I really do. But for the price tag that it's going to cost to keep him, nah, I don't love him. Not unless he's going to go out here and bag me 13 and a half of them things. That'll change my tune real quick. It did it for Duran. I didn't love Duran Payne this time last year. I said the team did the right thing. And I'm not backing down from that. I know there were some of you that, hey, pay that man last year. That's cool. I wasn't one of them. Because I needed to see that he could get to the quarterback. Well, he did. And I'm sold. Now I love me some Daron Payne. Okay? Now you can't just get another guy to do what Daron Payne does. Some of y'all are like, yeah, just get a guy to add to the depth of Ridgeway and Mathis and no. Y'all missing the boat. Y'all not understanding. You don't just get another Daron Payne. You don't just get a guy off the street. You don't just get a guy coming into the league and ask him to get 11 and a half sacks. And to be a tackle for loss machine. They don't grow on trees, bro. John Ridgeway is cool. He's a depth backup defensive tackle that serves a specific role. So understand that Daron Payne isn't just some dude you just replace. He's not Brandon Sheriff. Well, you go, Sheriff was good, but we can find another guard. Daron Payne's really good. You ain't going to just find another Daron Payne. You can find another Montez Sweat if he don't step his shit up. You ain't going to find another Jonathan Allen or Daron Payne. That's different. So I just wanted to make mention of that because I thought that Daniel Jeremiah had a really good statement about that during the telecast today. But how y'all doing? I know I'm a little late. Excuse me. I'm a little late on the Martin Mayhew thing. I wanted to come to y'all yesterday. I had to give my voice a break. Because y'all know, the last time we spoke, it was rough over here, man. I was on a struggle bus. So I had to do some things to get myself right. That like could crack. Still ain't 100%, but y'all know how it is, man. Everybody play hurt, right? So we gonna get the party started tonight. I want to talk about what Martin Mayhew said at the presser. So his was much longer than Rivera's. Now, Mayhew spoke for roughly 20 minutes, and there was a lot that I gathered from his presser, including the fact that I'm convinced more than ever before. And I knew this to be the case. I felt this way the entire time, but I'm even more convinced now that Sam Howell is our starting quarterback. And I'll give you some of the reasons as to why I feel that way a little bit later on in the show. But I'm going to go in order of the things that Mayhew talked about that I felt like were pertinent. And, here's my first takeaway. This has nothing to do with nothing. I just feel like I need to say this because I think some of you guys are really hard on Martin Mayhew, and that's fine. I'm not going to tell you how to be. But Martin Mayhew's a smart dude. Okay? I just want you to understand that. Let's get that out of the way. He's intelligent, and he understands what needs to be done. Now, how he goes about doing it is a different story. Okay? But we don't have a guy back there that's aloof or that's a total clown show, back there. So I just want to say that. And part of the reason that I bring that up is because he was spitting a lot of truth. Like he was talking about, the combine and how they've done a great job of kind of, fixing it and really adjusting it to make it more player friendly. I thought they were really asking a lot of these players. Remember, the NFL tried to turn the combine into a prime time event, not really giving two shits about the players. They wake these players up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they had the audacity to say, hey, we want to have this combine during prime time. So we're not going to have y'all working out until on the field until 7 o'clock, Indianapolis time. Like, bro, I've been up since 4 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning. You trying to tell me now you want me to work out when my body is exhausted? And I've been at this shit with y'all since 3 this morning, 4 this morning. You're right. So they did something about that. And he talked about the changes that they made. And I thought one of the biggest things that I agreed with, and I've been saying this to you guys for a while, is that the league, his exact quote was, the league has failed at developing quarterbacks. And this was in regards to Sam Howell, because, of course, question was asked about Sam in particular. Do you think it helped that he sat behind Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke and was able to learn instead of just being thrown into the fire? And I mentioned that Ron Rivera was on the Combine telecast today, and he spoke about Sam Howell. And Daniel Jeremiah said he was my 40th rated player in the draft last year. I was amazed that he was there in the 5th round. I don't think many of us were expecting him to be there. In day 3, let alone the 5th round when we took him. I had a 2nd round grade on him. Clearly, Daniel Jeremiah thought he was worthy of a 2nd round pick because he said he was the 40th the best player on his draft board. But Martin Mayhew talked about what he felt like was a great opportunity for him to sit and learn. And he talked about how in today's NFL, and this, I think this is so true, and you've heard me talk about this before. In today's NFL, we so often are impatient, specifically at the quarterback position, more so than any other position. Like, what the Eagles are doing is, and I know I hate to use the Eagles as an example. Speaking of the Eagles, real quick, off subject. Did you see Darius Slay rank the top 5 receivers that he played against this year? Did you see that? I said he better have our boy up there. I don't care where he is on your list. He better be on this damn list. And in true Darius Slay form, I like Darius Slay. I don't know about y'all. I like him a lot. Even when Terry cooked him, he came on the next day on his podcast. It was like, yo, he got me. And he talked about both times he got him. And he's like, I didn't expect him to run that route. And then he came back and ran it again. And I was like, oh, shit, he ran it again. And I didn't think he was going to run it again. So Terry made his list at number 2, which was surprising. CeeDee Lamb was 3. Deontay Johnson was 4. And who was 5? Oh, Chris Olave, the rookie in New Orleans, was number 5 on his list. Who was number 1? Come on now. You guessed it. Justin Jefferson was number 1. But Terry being number 2 on his list, I felt good about that. I loved it. Love what he said about Terry. Plays hard on every single snap. And so I'll see you again next year. So anyway, back to what I was saying, which is the Eagles, they're doing it the right way. You say what you want about them. You don't have to give them credit if you don't want to, but they drafted Jalen Hurts not to be the starter, but as an insurance policy for Carson Wentz when he got hurt. He ends up taking over because he sat and he waited. If Jalen Hurts had come in and had to play right away, who knows? He might have struggled. But he didn't have to. He had to sit and watch. And then he got his chance, and he was ready when he got that opportunity. Right? They drafted the linebacker out of Georgia last year. Knew he was injured. Knew that it's cool. We could use him, but we don't have to have him. He barely played last year. He was like a redshirt last year. They drafted a center in the second round. Well, part of that is they didn't know what J.C. Kelsey was going to do, but they knew that there was a chance J.C. Kelsey would be back. They drafted Cam Jerkins in the second round out of Nebraska anyway. And if J.C. Kelsey decides, I'm done, they got a guy that can slide right in. If he decides he's playing again, Cam Jerkins' ass will keep sitting on the bench. I mean, they got shit waiting, and they got first-round picks. Like, they're killing it. You got to admit, they're killing it. But I said all of that to say this. We live in a society, and I always talk about sports being a microcosm of life, society, etc., etc. And we live in a time and space now where everything is microwavable. We want everything now, and if it's not instant gratification, then it ain't gonna work. And there was a time where guys like Alex Smith would struggle on the same team as a rookie quarterback for 3-4 years before figuring the shit out. I think Drew Brees was killing it with the Chargers right out of the gate. Hell no, that's why they drafted Phillip Rivers. Because they didn't think Drew Brees was any good. And then he figured it out. By then, they had already drafted Phillip Rivers, so they were like, we got to do something. So they chose Rivers. You can't do that anymore in the NFL. If a guy stinks after his second season, he's done. Hell, if he struggles out of the gate in his rookie season, most fans are going to turn on him and start calling him a bust after a rookie season. God forbid he does it 2 years in a row. Oh, he's got to go. We got to find us a quarterback. Guys aren't allowed, like, and I get why the Jets are giving up on Zach Wilson. I get that because he doesn't get it. So I get it. I understand. But it's only been 2 years. He's been awful, though. And you can tell. Like, you know, you can tell when somebody isn't very good and then they don't get it. That makes it even worse. But I said all of that to say this. Mayhew made a great point. I've been saying this for a very long time, that the league has failed the quarterback position in particular. And he said the reason it's the way it is because the worst team in the league gets, the first pick in the draft. And a lot of times you get these really talented quarterbacks going to these bad teams, and you're bad for a reason. And it usually is a bad team with not a lot of talent. And now you're asking this young quarterback to come in and be the savior. You're playing him right away. He's getting his brains bashed in. Sometimes he creates bad habits because out of necessity, because, whether the protection on the offensive line is horrendous or he doesn't have any weapons to get the football to, whatever the case may be, he's fighting for his life. It turns into a survival mechanism. Next thing you know, he's not any good, or he's far removed from the player that he was when he got drafted. So you see that quite a bit, the quarterback position. And Mayhew believes part of the reason that Howell was ready, and I feel the same way, is because he got to sit and watch. So I thought it was a great point. I totally agree with him. I feel like if you throw Sam Howell in say after the Bears game, I think he struggles a little bit because it was still early for him. Speaking of Howell, I actually heard him speak. John Keim posted the little media scrum that they had with him. And he admitted, yeah, I was pretty comfortable with the playbook. But he's like, I like new challenges, and clearly this is a new challenge. And they asked him why did he feel like it was important to be at the presser? Just to show my support and let them know that I'm here. And yeah, all of that is, he did that because he's like, yo, I'm the guy, and I need to show my face, show you I'm serious about being the guy. He's gonna be the quarterback. Here's why I say this. So Mayhew was asked about, because the combine is where every team is represented, and most of the time, all the personnel from every team is there for the most part. Meaning, GM, team president, head coach, positional coaches sometimes, but all the important decision makers essentially. Meaning GM, team president, if that guy is a big time decision maker for you, or head coach, vice president of player personnel, or all that good stuff. However your hierarchy looks like, or your pecking order is, all those guys are usually in Indy, the combine. So he talked about, this is where a lot of trades go down. You talk to some teams or some players' agents to initiate contract discussions a lot of times. But also, if you're looking to make a move, this is when, those discussions start to heat up. And we hear this every year. This is when deals get done a lot of times. He's like, we haven't talked to anybody about trading for anybody. We haven't talked to anybody about making any type of moves. I've just been really focused in on the players that are draftable, which tells me, because that hadn't been the case the last 2 years. We were all in on Matthew Stafford 2 years ago. Last year, we were, as Ron said, he was doing all the work at Indy on Carson Wentz. So, last 2 years, we've been actively seeking trades at Indy. The reason they're not actively seeking a trade this year is because they got their guy, at least for this upcoming season. I mean, he could be a total flop, of course, but they're rolling with Sam Howell. Now, they can sit here and tell us till their face turns blue that they're going to bring in a veteran. Yeah, you're absolutely going to bring in a veteran. That is 110% fact, spot on. But we all know that veteran ain't going to be worth a damn. Whether it's Heineke, whether it's Teddy Bridgewater, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, whether it's Andy Dalton, what I'm telling you is, whatever veteran they bring in here, he ain't beating out Sam Howell. He's going to be brought in here as a veteran to compete, to make sure that Sam, because again, Ron has PTSD from when he first got here with Dwayne Haskins. So instead of him just saying, hey, I love what Sam did, and we're going to give Sam, the opportunity to be the starter next year, he's not doing that. He's going to make Sam earn it. But Sam's the starter. Because the only thing that would stop Sam Howell from being the starter, well, I shouldn't say the only thing. Only two things that could stop Sam Howell from being the starter next year, more likely than not, was if Washington traded up, and it could still happen where a quarterback that they love falls into their lap at 16. Not going to happen. Not with all the draft quarterback needy teams in front of them this year. Ain't no way. It's a simple case of supply and demand. It ain't a lot of supply, but it's a hell of a lot of demand for quarterback. And so you got a quarterback need at 2. What's the order? I got to learn this shit. NFL draft order. So you got a quarterback need at 2, 4. Hold on, man. I didn't ask you for none of that. So 2, 4, 7, 8, 9, 11. You could argue, even though I think they're gonna roll with Ryan Tannehill again. And then you get us at 16. So there's only, I think, 3 quarterbacks worth even taking that high. And it's at least, I just named at least 5 teams in front of us that could use a QB. So ain't no way, unless Washington trades up, ain't no way a quarterback falling to you at 16. So either you would have to trade for a quarterback in the draft, that is, or you have to trade for someone in the offseason. Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, or sign a guy like Derek Carr or trade for Aaron Rodgers. And that's not happening. Or Lamar Jackson, right? None of those things are taking place. Right? None of those things are taking place. So what they're essentially telling you is, we believe in Sam Howell. He's the guy. Yeah, you're gonna get them talking out of both sides of their mouth because they don't want to commit to him, blow his head up. He's not working as hard, and they have the same thing happen to him that happened in 2020. Ron's going to be extremely cautious about that. But I think he understands this dude is different. He's wired different. He's not Dwayne. He's not going to do those things, but they still want to protect themselves, and they still want to dangle that carrot in front of him. Look at it like this. He just got here, this Sam Howell. So on his eval, you can't give him all 5s, right? You got to give him some 2s and some 3s, so he's got some areas to improve upon. If you tell him he's the starter, it's like the equivalent of giving him all 4s and 5s. You know, not as much he's got to work on. So you got to keep dangling that carrot out in front of him. But by Mayhew saying, "Hey, we haven't pursued any trades. We're not even talking to anybody," that's telling you that they're not looking to upgrade that position in a manner that's going to insinuate that Sam Howell isn't going to be the starter. Yeah, they're bringing in a veteran, but that veteran isn't going to overtake Sam Howell on the depth chart. It's the exact same thing that happened in 2021 when they went out and signed Ryan Fitzpatrick and they claimed we were having a quarterback competition. There was no quarterback competition. Ryan Fitzpatrick was the starter. But you had to insinuate that there was a competition because you didn't want to duplicate what happened the year prior, which was that Dwayne Haskins fiasco. So you insinuated that there was a competition when there never really was. It's the same thing that's going on this year. There's no competition. There'll be a pseudo competition, but there'll be no competition. Sam Howell's the guy. And just for the record, I believe in Sam. We'll have that discussion down the line, though. Mark Mayhew admitted, this is real quick because this has nothing to do with us, but he admitted that he made a mistake of thinking Aaron Donald was way too small. He said that's one of the biggest draft blunders that he's had in his career, was he just dismissed Aaron Donald because of his size. So he's like, I won't do that again. Where I just dismiss a guy because I don't think he fits into, a certain criteria that I have for a specific position. So that's one of those you live and you learn type of situations for him. He talked about the value of the transfer portal and NIL deals. So clearly Ron isn't up to speed on this stuff, but Martin is. Because Ron talked when he was on the Combine telecast about players going back to school, and Ron saying, I don't know specifically why they're going back to school. Whereas Martin was all over it. He was like, kids, he said, one of the things I do like about NIL deals and the transfer portal is that you're not seeing as many guys that were going to be 7th round picks and undrafted coming out early instead of going back to school and maybe, enhancing their draft status. You're not seeing those dudes. It's the equivalent to in the NBA having a dude declare for the NBA draft, not get selected after 1 year of basketball in college. And you're like, bro, why did you do that? Why did you hire an agent? Now you can't go back to school. You didn't get drafted. Now you asked out. Now you got to go play overseas or some shit. And your career might be over. But all you do is take your ass back to school, keep playing, and then you might even be a 2nd round pick. You might even play your way into the 1st round. But you just made a reckless decision, and now you've thrown your whole career potentially down the drain. Same thing in the NFL. A lot of these guys get, because the NFL advisory board will tell you, you ask them, they will tell you what your draft status currently is. Like if you come out right now, you'll get selected more likely than not in the 2nd round, your 2nd round pick. If that's good enough for you, all right, bring your ass out. But if you go to the advisory board and they tell you, hey, you're a late day 3 pick to undrafted, and you just say, I don't think I'm gonna be better than that. I don't believe you. You bring your ass out and you don't get drafted, and then you don't make a squad. Now your career's over. You could have went back to school, and who knows what would have happened if Joe Burrow doesn't go back to school for his senior season. At best, he's a 3rd round pick. Joe Burrow goes back to school for what ended up being I would say, a historic senior season at LSU. Wins the national championship, becomes the number 1 overall pick. The rest is history. So he's like these NIL deals, guys where they didn't have any money, family was struggling. They felt like, they were carrying the weight of their family on their shoulders, so they had to come out and try to make some bread. They were coming out early because of financial strain, right? Now you're getting this money in college on these NIL deals. You don't have to leave college early. Used to be a thing where if you hopped in the transfer portal, you're going to have to wait. You transfer to another school, you're going to have to sit out a whole year. That shit's dead now. Dudes transferring all over the place. But it allows guys to, instead of making that jump to the league, all right, I'm going to go to another school, see if I can get more playing time and maybe enhance my draft stock. So I thought that was another good point, something that I hadn't really considered. He talked about the tight end room because he talked about how he views this as a really deep tight end pool of players to be selected this year, and he's intrigued by that position in the draft. My whole thought process is there isn't a single player on our roster as it's constructed at the tight end position that should stop you from drafting a tight end if you love him and you think it is incredible value. Case in point, if you're sitting there at what is our 2nd round pick? Is that 48? 49? Let's see what our picks are. I probably should know this already, but I don't. And I'm not too proud to say that I don't know our picks. But I'll know them soon enough. Let's see. Our 2nd round pick is 47. All right. So let's say you're sitting at 47 and you love Luke Musgrove and he's just sitting there. You love Dalton Kincaid and he's just sitting there. You love Darnell Washington and he's just sitting there. Take him. There isn't one tight end on our roster that should stop you from taking a tight end if you love one of these dudes. Now, Martin Mayhew spoke so gushingly and glowingly about Cole Turner. Said, I don't know if I've ever seen a rookie tight end come in and have a stronger offseason than he did heading into that training camp of his rookie season before he got injured. So he was ranting and raving about what he thought Cole Turner was going to be, got injured, and that altered the entire trajectory of his rookie season. I think more so than anything else, Scott Turner altered the trajectory of any of the tight ends season, but specifically Cole Turner. But the injury definitely hurt because Amani Rodgers doesn't make the football team if Cole Turner doesn't get injured. He's not even getting the reps that is necessary for him to make the team. So, but everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. But I don't see them making any moves. And then after he talked about the tight end position in the draft, he then went on to talk about all the tight ends on the roster. So I've said this already. I don't think they're going to do anything at tight end. A lot of you want them to do something at tight end. I don't blame you because I don't think we have any tight ends right now that, as I mentioned, should stop you from taking a look at all the tight ends that may be out there. With that said, you have 4 guys and there's a 5th that they like in Hodges, Curtis Hodges, that I just don't think they feel like they need to do anything between Logan Thomas, who I told you guys wasn't going anywhere, Cole Turner, who they drafted last year, who they really like. Martin Mayhew was talking him up. I, right now, am a huge Amani Rodgers fan. That's the guy. And shout out to my guy Rico over at Street Scores for, that one. Because he was the one that was talking him up way before any of us were. But that's the guy that I'm looking at and saying, if you want somebody to emerge from the group to turn into an absolute beast, he's the one that has a chance to do it. Cole Turner has the capability of doing that as well. But those are the 2 I circle. But Amani Rodgers has the athletic profile that nobody else at the tight end position on our team has. Obviously, you got Mr. Do-It-All, even though I don't think he's much of a pass catcher myself, and John Bates. Not that he can't catch. It's just that, he's not dynamic. But he does a little bit of everything. And then, of course, they like Curtis Hodges, who, again, if he didn't get hurt in the preseason, would have had an opportunity to make the team. So I don't see them doing anything, but he did talk about the entire tight end room. But as I just mentioned, if one of these tight ends falls in your lap and you love them, take them. Don't hesitate. Quarterbacks in the draft and Sam was something that he talked about. So he said that they'll be evaluating all the quarterbacks in the draft as they should. I, for one, feel like they should be drafting a rookie quarterback this year. And I've already said, whether it's Hendon Hooker or it's a late round guy like Jaron Hall out of BYU, there should be a DTR. I don't know how it's going to shake out back into the draft with some of these quarterbacks. DTR probably won't even get drafted. When it's all said and done, he'll probably be undrafted, end up on somebody's roster, and compete in the summer. But you should be adding somebody to the squad at the quarterback position. And there are a couple of guys that I think are going to get drafted that I like. If you like Taylor Heineke, there's a dude named Hayner in this draft out of Fresno State. Reminds me a lot of Taylor Heineke. Like that kid a lot. Got to stay healthy. He's a smaller dude, just like Heineke, but he can throw the football. I mean, arm isn't that huge, but can make every throw that you need him to make. Got the poise and the moxie. There's something about him. Like, there's going to be dudes like that back into the draft that I feel like you need to pick one. But he also talked about, going out and getting a veteran, this, that, and the third. So they're going to address the quarter. Again, we got one quarterback on the roster. Somebody reminded me that we still have Jake Fromm on the roster as well. Jake Fromm can kick rocks, okay? Jake Fromm stinks. So I don't even think they're counting him. Because in my mind, veteran quarterback, rookie quarterback, that rounds out your group of three. And that's what it should look like heading into to training camp. And you keep Jake Fromm around for a camp arm, and then first round of cuts he goes. But again, we'll see. But he did talk about that. He talked about football and personal character. So obviously the Jalen Carter situation came up multiple times during his interview because it was fresh that day. It happened that day. So he got asked about it multiple times, and he talked about the process of how they go about vetting each and every single player in the draft that is eligible to be selected. And he talked about the things that they're looking for: football character and professional and personal character. And those are really big. And specifically with an organization like Washington, the personal character has to be through the roof. We're, for years we talked about not wanting Boy Scouts and wanting guys rough around the edge. We're not in a position organizationally to take guys that are rough around the edges. We just can't. Some other teams in the league may be able to do that. We aren't one of them. We just don't have the leeway. We got to take the Jamin Davis type player, and not to shit on Jamin Davis or anything like that, but the guy with the military background, the guy that's squeaky clean off the field, first guy in, last to leave. I mean, and there's nothing wrong. That's what you want. You just want that guy to be really good along with those attributes, but we're not in any position to take the dude with a couple of red flags, super talented, but it's a red flag here or there, or a checkered background or past. We can't. We're just not in a position. So that's important, So he mentioned that. And then I thought this last thing that I'm about to mention was really interesting. Finding players that fit. For too long here in Washington, we haven't done a really good job of finding guys that fit. Now, I still don't think we truly have an identity, but you don't have to have like a philosophical approach to how you play in order to determine what kind of guys would fit in your locker room. You know your locker room, you know the type of players you have, you know if this guy will fit personality-wise in your locker room or not. Now, if we're talking about play on the field, you're looking for a specific type of player. For instance, if you keep talking about wanting to run the football, do you want to go get a finesse guard? Or do you want to get somebody that's going to put somebody's dick in the dirt? Because when they got the guy out of, and I don't think that was them, it might have been them, but they got the kid out of San Diego State that played center for us, Keith Ishmael. Keith was cool. Keith would battle. But Keith was a finesse center. He was a finesse guard. And he tried. Bless his heart. But Keith won't about that life. So you can draft a guy like that, or you can draft a guy that's going to create a new line of scrimmage. If you're really looking to establish the run, if you're really looking to have that kind of demeanor up front, then you need to get players that exhibit that type of behavior. So I think you know what you're looking for, you know? So you got to go out and find that. You might be looking for a corner. You're not looking for just any corner, though. You might say, look, we got some length on the outside with Benjamin St-Juste. We want to mirror that on the other side. Because even if Kendall Fuller stays outside, when Juice got hurt last year, we didn't have another Juice. So we were in trouble. So we need to find another dude with length. So if anything happens to Benjamin St-Juste, we still got some length out at the cornerback position. You may tell yourself, look, we need another safety that is a hybrid like Cam Curl, because when Cam Curl got hurt last year, we didn't have another guy to fill that void. And look what happened to our defense. You're looking for specific players. So it was intriguing to hear him talk about fit. I want to see if they actually go out and find guys that fit what we're looking for. Fit the athletic profile. Fit the type of player we're looking for. See if they try to establish an identity or not. Anyway, I digress. I want to say something regarding Dan Snyder real quick. I ain't got much to add to it. Y'all been following the situation. I saw something that said it was down to two bidders. Josh Harris, and of course, I think who most of us want, not everybody wants the Amazon mogul. I always forget his damn name. Jeff Bezos. I don't know why it don't just roll off my tongue like that. But not everybody wants Bezos. But I'm hearing it's down to Josh Harris, homegrown product, owns multiple professional squads already, and Jeff Bezos. Now, Harris, for all of his exploits, all of the things he's got his hands in, and I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing him, because I'm not. The man's worth $6.5 billion. I'd like to be worth 1% of that. Okay? But Jeff Bezos is worth over $110 billion or whatever. It's not even close. And what we really need is someone with a ton of bread and capital, because one, this ain't no just come in, change ownership, and just keep the party going type of situation like it was in Denver. We need a lot of shit here, man. We need a new stadium. We need new facilities. We need a lot of shit, man. And if wherever you build in the stadium, if they don't want to help, you got to have enough capital where you can build the shit yourself. Bezos getting ownership of this team means that the RFK site, getting it back in the city, in DC, is back in play. What I'm telling you is, Dan's selling this bitch. He's out of options. With the news that's come out over the last week to 2 weeks, this ain't a matter of if anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. About a month ago, I came and I said, maybe 3 weeks ago, I said, should I be afraid? Should I be nervous? I'm not anymore. I'm like I told you, I'm gonna just let it play out. I expect Dan to have to sell now. I think Dan, I gotta give Dan some credit. I won't say too many nice things about Dan Snyder. Dan's an effing G. I gotta say that. Because even on this man's deathbed as an owner, on his way out, he's still out here making demands like he in a position to do that. I'm like, Dan, you in here talking to these dudes like they don't got you by the balls right now, bro. And he truly don't give a F. Because Dan is talking to him sideways like, I'll do this and I'll do that. And they're looking at you like, bro, we got all of these investigations that we've been burying, bro. 500 pages of shit that we can just throw on the table and say, here, have at it. Media, here, New York Post, Washington Post, everybody come get some. New York Times, everybody come get some of this. I mean, we got enough shit. We got like 4 investigations. We can just pull out all the documents and we can just bury your ass. And this man is demanding immunity, essentially. Like, who are you to be telling us what we gonna do? I find it hysterical. He's selling, man. Dan's in a really tough spot. And I love every second of it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if it's truly down to 2 dudes or not, but I know I did read that. And if that's the case, if Bezos is truly in this thing, and I think he is, ain't nobody outbidding him. If he wants the squad, it's his. So anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. Looks like we got a new member here. Michael Butler. Stand up. You are the newest member. Do I have a new member? I think I can check this out up here. This is not showing me I got a new member. Yes. Michael Butler. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. Y'all know what to do. Show Michael some love. Really appreciate you for joining the squad. Look forward to chopping it up with you. Michael Butler, welcome to the squad. Glad to have you. Come on in, man. We got a lot of shit in store for you, bro. Welcome aboard. All right. Let's see. John Perez. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, JP writes, Lou, we need a big 2023 from Chase Young. I feel like we're going to get that next year. You know how I feel about his 5th-year option situation. Pick it up. They're going to pick it up. Yeah, I think it would be frivolous on their part to not pick it up. That shit Ron was talking about sounds good, how it could be used as a motivating tool. It ain't the same thing as Montez or Deron Payne. You picked up his 5th-year option. It's not apples to apples. They're going to pick up the 5th-year option. I think that was just them sending a message. Like, bro, your shit stink. Because Chase was walking around like his shit ain't stink. Bro, your doo-doo stink. All right. So I think they had to let him know, hey, turn the goddamn vent on. Your shit stink. And it's permeating around the facility. Turn the damn vent on, bro. And let me get a courtesy flush, too. Your shit stink. I think the message has been received. So I'm hoping for a big 2023. I don't know what to expect anymore, to be honest with you. I was a big Chase Young guy. I was a proponent for taking him. Everybody seems to have revisionist history now. Oh, we should have taken Justin Herbert. I wasn't on Justin Herbert back in 2020. I wasn't. I'm not going to sit here and try to front like I was. I wasn't. It was always Chase Young at 2. The only guy that I wanted, and I knew we weren't going to be able to get him, was Joe Burrow. So if we couldn't get Burrow, the next best thing was Chase Young. It was always that way. And I'm not going to try to act like it wasn't like that back in 2020, because it was. That said, I ain't seen that 2020 dude since 2020. So it's 2023. So I'm hoping, and we got a good report. I don't know if you guys saw this, but the doctor to the stars. Chase Young went and saw him. and he gave him a clean bill of health. Pretty much said knee looks good, everything structurally looks intact, bro. Go out and go have yourself an off season. So he's been green lighted, and part of Ron's apprehension about the 5th-year option stemmed from the knee, right? So it was good for them to get the okay from Dr. Andrews. So I think that was the thing more so than anything else that was stopping them from, or giving them pause, I should say, about the 5th-year option. They're going to pick it up, though. And that clean bill of health pretty much, I think, seals the deal. I hope he's back. I wasn't putting a lot on his plate in 2022. Even if he would have come back, say, week 10, I wouldn't have put a lot on his plate. So him not having a sack, the end of the season, that none of that shit bothers me. I'm expected if he's ready to go, meaning no setbacks this offseason, nothing crazy, everything goes according to plan. I'm expecting not a massive season. I'm not gonna put that Joey Bosa, or excuse me, Nick Bosa expectation on him, but I expect him to be back to rookie season form. So that means I need you hovering around 10 sacks. Somewhere in that 7.5, which is what you had as a rookie, to 10. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Anything north of 10, house money, and we got our guy. But, yeah. We'll see what happens. Joe Rockhead, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Joe Rockhead, writes, I think it's crazy that people think Ridgeway and Mathis can replace Payne. Totally different types of D tackles. They clog space, not penetrate. Exactly. You'd be surprised at how many people, say, hey, trade Payne, get some picks, just pick another defensive tackle and add him to the mix with, Young, with Allen, Ridgeway, and Mathis. And I'm like, you don't really understand how this works. I felt like them old ladies on the commercial. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Right? Like, that's not how. You can't just get rid of Daron Payne and just find another dude. That was my argument when he wasn't getting to the quarterback. You can find another dude that do that shit he do. No, the hell you cannot. Not when he bagging the quarterback like he did last year. Not when he getting tackles for loss like he did last year. And another thing, something that not Ridgeway or Mathis can lay claim to, and they just got here. Both of them were rookies. Daron Payne don't miss time, man. Brother is as durable as it gets. Plays a high percentage of snaps and everything. So there's something to that as well. Well said, Joe Rockhead. Well said. 1,800 shots. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. 1,800 shots. Writes, will be an important offseason for our future, Lou. A lot of decisions to make on and off the field, but you keep up the good work, bro. I appreciate that. And I've talked about it. I said this is going to be the biggest offseason in team history. I said that. Largely because of ownership change, which I never thought I'd see today. I'm not going to lie to you. But there are a lot of big decisions that had to be made. Were they going to get rid of Ron? No. If you're not getting rid of Ron, you got to get rid of Scott. They got rid of Scott. Who you're going to replace him with? Because if you're trying to keep your job, if you're Ron Rivera, you got to go out and get a guy that is going to do a hell of a job that's going to help you keep your job. Well, I got Eric Bieniemy. Okay. What you going to do at quarterback? Then we're going to roll with Sam. Okay. I like it. See, you got to fix the offensive line then, right? If you're gonna give Sam an opportunity, you got to fix the offensive line. You want this defense to take a next step? You got to go out. You got to fill in some of these gaps. Linebacker, corner, depth at safety. So I think they're going to do that. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. One at a time. John Perez, my guy, JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Joey Porter met with Washington. That's the number one guy I want. Whether he'll make it to 16 is a big question. It's definitely, up for debate. I think after tomorrow, we'll learn a lot more about who might be or might not be at 16. Because if you go out and you kill it tomorrow, you've enhanced your chances of being selected. I can tell you this. At a bare minimum, 3 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. And there could be a fourth in Richardson. I don't think it's going to happen. But 3 are going for sure. I think corner and edge. Offensive tackle is always, even if it's a weak tackle draft class, teams are always going to draft offensive linemen. So you're still going to see a couple of offensive linemen go, even if it's not as many as we're used to seeing. I think the 2 wild card positions are going to be corner and edge rusher. Because even though Carter's gotten into a little bit of trouble, he's still going in the top 10. I still think top 5, but definitely top 10. Right? Then you got all these edge rushers. You got all these corners. How many of them go before you get to 16? Which ones go? There's gonna be at least a corner and a damn good one for us to select at 16. Is it one that you're interested in is the question. So Porter not only said he met with Washington, he said he met with them multiple times, and he said that he's really fond of the fact that they have multiple Penn State guys on the roster. That look, to these young boys, that means something. To see familiar faces, it makes the transition easier. He talked about Shaka Toney. He talked about Jahan Dotson. He talked about all of those Penn State guys that they have on the roster. I think it was like 3 of them. And it's 4 if you count Troy Apke. If Trapp is still there, I don't know. I don't think his path crossed with Trapp's at all. But in particular, it was, I'm going to see if I can think of that third dude. It was obviously Jahan Dotson. It was Shaka Toney. And who is the last guy that I'm forgetting? I'm going to go through the positions real quick. Not on the D line. Not at linebacker. Not at corner. Yeah, corner. The other corner is the dude we got from the 49ers with the hyphenated last name. I can't think of his last name right now. But yeah, him. Castro Fields. So he likes the fact, and this is the thing. He could like all of that shit. He doesn't get to pick where he goes. He's not a free agent. So it's cool. Like Bijan Robinson is like, I would love to go to the Cowboys. Sure you would, but you don't get to pick. So what difference does it make? He might love to come to Washington. Got some guys there that he rocked with when he was, at Penn State, when they were there. Doesn't matter. You don't get to choose where you go. So we'll see how it shakes out. like I said, between him, Devon Witherspoon, Christian Gonzalez, Brian Branch, somebody's gonna be there. Like all of them dudes ain't gonna be gone. One of them is gonna be there. Is it the one that you want though? Is the question. If you're Washington, you might be good with like any of them. They might be like, yo, I don't really care if any of them dudes is there. Long as one of these guys with some length is sitting there, I'm good. Let's see, got one here from Quentin Ruiz. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Quentin writes, do you think JD will make this roster? I honestly think JD McKissick has played his last game here in Washington. Now, I know that there is a certain soft spot for JD McKissick with this staff. They love him. They love his energy. It's infectious in the locker room. He's a guy that keeps it lighthearted. He's a glue guy, right? And they love and appreciate what he does. But I think we've seen a series of 1-year contracts handed out. The latest was them bringing back what's the name of the damn linebacker? Nate Gary signed a 1-year deal today to come back to Washington, right? But there's been a plethora of those. One of them that may have gotten lost in the sauce was Jonathan Williams, coming back at the running back position. Keep in mind that I talked about Jared Patterson at the end of the year, and I said I really like what he did against Dallas, and I would like to see that young fella at least have an opportunity to compete in camp next year, if nothing else. Well, you got 4 backs if you bring JP back and Jared Patterson, because you already have 3 guys on the contract in Williams, Gibson, and Robinson. So I just think the situation that he's been in the last 2 years and the direction that they're going in, I don't know if they have him back. It would be interesting to see if Jerick McKinnon is a free agent and Eric Bieniemy loves him and says, hey, this is a guy that would fit here, and they go out and sign him. It won't take a lot of money to do it. I could see them moving on from him. He signed a 2-year, $7 million deal here. Remember, he had the same deal in Buffalo, came here, took the same exact deal. So I don't know how much of that they would save roughly if they moved on from him. But they already cut a dude for $4 million. So if they'll cut a dude for 4, I'm pretty sure that they cut a dude for 3.5 if that's what it came down to. So I think J.D. McKissick is all but gone in my estimation. Biggie Steve, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Biggie Steve writes, hey, Louie, what's up, Biggie? He says, first-time subscriber. I heard from some sources that we are looking at Rodgers on the low. Is that a smart move to bring him in? Is he a fit? So I haven't heard that. I've heard the opposite. But again, Rodgers hasn't committed to playing football in 2023 yet, which I think he will. He's just emerged from this, dark retreat or whatever, this little retreat he was on. And he went dark, and now he's back, and he's about to make a decision. He's not going back to Green Bay. I assure you of that. They've moved on already. Jordan Love is getting the rock this year, and it's his team. What he does with it is up to him, but Rodgers is done in Green Bay. Now, is his career done? Is he done playing ball? That's up to him. But if he wants out, Green Bay has already said they would prefer to trade him to the AFC. there was a report already that I saw with the Raiders because that's always been the logical destination. Oh, he's going to team up with Devontae Adams. He's going to Vegas. They don't have a quarterback. That's where he's going. Well, I saw a report that the Raiders are like, nah, we're not interested in his ass. It's lion season, so take everything with a grain of salt. It's easy to say what you won't do and what you're not interested in when a dude hasn't committed to playing. But the minute Rodgers says, yeah, I want to play and I'd like to play for your team, it might change all of the tunes of teams out there that aren't interested right now. But the Jets are definitely interested in Aaron Rodgers, just like they're interested in Derek Carr. I think the Raiders have some interest there potentially. The Titans, if I'm the Titans, if I have the resources to do something, I'd be interested in Aaron Rodgers. But I wouldn't be interested to go to Tennessee if I was Aaron Rodgers. But I think Washington isn't on that list. The Saints aren't on that list. And I think it's just based off of the fact that those are NFC teams. And the Packers don't want any part of that. So, in Washington, they're not looking to trade for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. They would have rather signed a guy like Derek Carr in free agency than give up draft capital and then have to turn around and pay Aaron Rodgers. That's not what they're looking to do. Thank you for the super chat, Biggie Steve. Joe Rockhead, excuse me. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you, Joe Rockhead, who writes, players flying in coach, get small lockers, small hot tubs, old equipment, and no babysitters. Then see Dan buying yachts. They couldn't wait to fill out that survey. I kind of felt that energy, right? It was like, oh, I got something for his ass, right? That's kind of how they felt that shit out. I mean, when somebody get an F minus, look, man, I'm like, he was about to get a G. I mean, how do you get an F minus on something? Like, he was this close to getting a G for some of these grades. Sheesh. J Fonte. I mean, wow. So yeah, they definitely was like, yeah, nah, they got to know about this shit. This shit is not okay. Yeah, they unloaded on his ass. I laughed at it. I laughed at it. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy JP. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. I think it's double up, might be a triple up. My guy JP writes, how do you think we should celebrate Snyder being gone if the sale goes through? I think whatever day he sells the team on, we declare that a local holiday. I'm declaring it a holiday on my channel, and we're going to celebrate that shit every year. I still haven't figured out what we're going to call it. I was thinking something along the lines of we back up day. Every year, we back up. I don't know. I'm going to come up with something, but we going to celebrate that bitch. When that sale finally goes through, I already told you we dancing in the streets. We going to celebrate. You would have thought we just won a chip. Shit, we might as well throw a damn parade. But we celebrating. Get your finest glass, your finest bottle, or whatever, man. Shit's going down. I can tell you that right now. Let's see. All right. So that was the last super chat. And I saw somebody say, is he still sick? How the hell is he sick? Look, man, clearly y'all don't understand the struggle over here, man. Brother is on the struggle bus. These kids are something else. So if you don't understand how you can get got, it can happen real quick, man. Anyway, let's see. Gordo Americano. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, no, wait. I ain't going yet, man. Relax. I just know that for the first time in a long time, there's this weird feeling surrounding this organization, this team. And it's one of hope. It's a different type of hope. We have had hope in the past. Hell, we had hope last year. Schedule was right. Felt like maybe the quarterback position might be right. We felt like we had enough talent to do some damage. I didn't like 2021. I told y'all, anytime Ryan Fitzpatrick is your quarterback, you can't go to the playoffs. That's in the NFL bylaws. So I didn't like 2021. Y'all knew that. But it's a different feel right now. I know the team is going to be sold. So right then and there's been a new hope restored. A different type of hope. Mr. Ron B says, I'm hiring a gospel choir when that sale goes through and approved. Hey, man. Everybody is doing this in their own way. But that's how you know it's bad when I think it won't just be Washington fans excited. I think this is something that will be universally praised. Even if it ain't other fan bases, I think other owners will pop some champagne. I think people who love football, like that have been around the game a long time, they're going to be, because you heard what Sean Payton said. Sean Payton doesn't have any attachment to us other than his uncle, growing up a massive Redskins fan. Sean Payton don't have any attachment, but he said, you know what? They were one of the 6 pillars. Like, they were one of the foundational building blocks of this league, and look where they are now. People who are like that, they're going to have an appreciation for him selling this shit too. So I think it's going to be like universally celebrated. Because people who just love the NFL, they're going to be like, yo, I remember what Washington once was. And ain't no way they're getting back to that with Snyder at the helm. But now there's a shot. So anyway, I digress. Gordo Americano. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Gordo Americano writes, missed it. What do you think of Mayhew's presser? Yeah, you got to watch the playback for that. I went through his entire presser pretty much with a fine-tooth comb. So you're going to have to rewind that and go back and check it out. It's on playback. You go ahead and get through that however you like, man. But I'll just say it was a solid presser from Mayhew. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that they're not pursuing any trades, which means it leaves me with one conclusion, and that's Sam Howell's going to be the guy. Shout out to 1,800 shots for gifting 5 memberships. 5 shots for 1,800 shots. Shots. I'll stand up and give that man the love he deserved, man. Baby Glock was gifted a membership from 1,800 shots. Desmond Williams was gifted a membership from 1,800 shots. DSJ was gifted a membership from 1800 Shot. GOAT was gifted a membership by 1800 Shots. And Metro Cash was gifted a membership from 1800 Shots. So shout out to all of y'all. Stand up. Y'all are officially in the building. Y'all know what it is. And shout out to the big homie 1800 Shots for making it rain memberships tonight, man. Really appreciate all of y'all and appreciate you, 1800 Shots. All right. Brian N. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Brian N writes, I think we should celebrate by filling FedEx with Commander fans and party. I would not mind that at all. I don't think they're going to acknowledge the fact that he was a shitty owner. And so by filling up the stadium, by opening the stadium and allowing fans to come in and celebrate his departure, it would be acknowledging that Daniel Snyder was a shit stain on this organization and on this league, and they're not going to do that. So it would be dope though if they said, "Hey, we throwing a party. This man is gone. The big bad man is gone. The little bad man is gone. Rather, let's celebrate." That'd be dope. I would come out for that. I told you it'd be like winning a championship. Straight up. Joe Rockhead, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Joe Rockhead, writes, I recently rewatched your post game after the Jacksonville game. Man, it was like watching the first episodes of Game of Thrones after knowing how it ended. It was funny because I haven't watched it. I haven't rewatched it or anything, but I very vividly remember after that first win, I remember saying this, and it just was like twisting a knife, realizing that it wasn't any different. And I remember, I was like, y'all, don't tell me that this don't feel different. I remember saying that. I don't know if I said it in that exact manner, but it was something to the effect of, y'all, tell me that this don't feel different. And in past years, we would have lost this game. But we found a way to overcome those mistakes, and we won this game. And we explosive on offense. We can score with anybody, that type of shit. That's the type of shit I was on. And we got fooled because the next week, it was a terrible start in Detroit, but guess what we did? We scored 27 points in a half. They couldn't stop us in the second half. We stopped ourselves on that one possession where Wentz threw the pick over the middle of the field trying to throw it to Logan Thomas. They could not stop us in the second half. And I'm thinking, bro, we gonna be all right. We about to dust the Eagles. And that was the beginning of the end. So, yeah. Somebody talked about that first game of the season when we were talking about Scott Turner and how creative he was in that game. And it's like night and day how creative he was in week one versus the rest of the season. Gordo Americano, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Mayhew answers questions better than Ron, in my opinion. Once Dan sells, do you see FedEx getting packed again? Crazy. I remember FedEx used to be lit. Crazy. I don't expect it to be packed. I do expect more fans to come out and support once he's gone. The fans that were vehemently against Dan Snyder owning the team and supporting him in any way possible and said, I'm not coming back until he's gone. If those fans come back, then FedEx will have more of a home field advantage type of feel to it. But make no mistake about it, it's still a dump. We still haven't won anything, and there's still a lot fundamentally wrong with the organization. And until some of those things get fixed, you're still going to have fans that are going to stay away like the plague. But I tell you this much. If you could combine Snyder selling and winning that first year, say we get off to a 5-1 start. Oh, you bet your ass that shit is gonna be jumping. Snyder's gone, and we started 5-1, and Sam Howell is kicking ass. Yeah, that'll have some old Robert Griffin III type vibes towards the end of that rookie season in 2012 type shit going on then. Let Sam Howell jump out the gate 3-0, 5-1. Yeah, shit's gonna be live. But knowing Ron, it'll be the inverse of that. We'll be 1-5, clinging to life early October, and now we gotta go on a run just to save face and get back to, where we can be within striking distance of something respectable. But who knows? This could be, with all this shit changing, maybe that would be different too. I won't hold my breath. Jason Fios, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Jason writes, "What's good, Lou? Any specific third down back you looking at? How about late round QBs? I like Hall out of BYU and Toon out of Houston." So I talked about Hayner out of Fresno State and Jaron Hall as my 2 late round quarterbacks in this draft that I would like. Hendon Hooker is a mid round pick that I would like us to select if we were going to go that route. As far as third down backs, I couldn't tell you anything about them yet, but trust and believe over the next couple of weeks, as soon as shit gets to some semblance of normalcy, I've been dealing with nothing but craziness over the last month with the kids. So once I'm able to stabilize that situation, or that situation stabilizes itself, I really don't have anything to do with it. Once they not, they don't have pink eye and they not sick, throwing up, got a stomach bug and all that bullshit, and they can just go to daycare. And I can just work. I'm going to get knee deep into these prospects. Like, I've been sitting on Deontay Banks. I'm done with this shit. I had no voice. I couldn't even record the shit. I've been done 3-4 days ago. So I'm just trying to live out here, man. I'm just trying to live. So I'm gonna get to those backs, and I'll have one for you. I mean, I can tell you Jahmyr Gibbs, but I ain't telling you much, right? I mean, who doesn't love him? So I'll have somebody for you eventually. Jeremiah C, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Jeremiah writes, "I know how you feel with the twins, Lou. Ever since mine started walking, it's been total chaos, bro. It hit different. When you got twins, like, that's a struggle that most parents will never understand. Like, if you ain't got 2 at the same time kicking your ass, you can't understand my plight over here, bro. I appreciate your sympathy though, but you can never understand what's going on unless you had it, And for those of you who have had twins or currently have twins, then you know my struggle. And I appreciate you for understanding. And bless your heart, and more power to you. Because I know what you're going through. So you seem to be on that same struggle bus that I'm on. And I'll just offer you this piece of advice, or these words of encouragement rather. You're gonna be all right. Or you know what? We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right, Jeremiah, man. Hang in there, bro. I wouldn't trade my twins for the world though. But they kicking my ass. I cannot tell a lie. Gordo Americano, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I'm not sticking up for Dan, but when did he become so hated? I always thought it was Bruce Allen, to be honest. But I'm West Coast, so I don't deal with him. Yeah. You've been living in 2005 for too long because it's always been Dan. You know, this is how it's gone essentially. It's always been Dan, but the dude that he puts in front of him to shield him from the shots that he's getting, like we got all this ammo and we be loading up and we be letting off. And we just trying to get one clear shot at him. Take him out, one dome hit. Bow. And he always got a shield taking shots for him. It was Vinny Serrato, then it was Bruce Allen. And that dude that's taking all the shots for him, he's gonna seem like public enemy number one because we at the time we didn't think we could ever get rid of Dan's ass. So the next best thing is to get rid of your flunky. So that guy becomes public enemy number one. But Dan has always has been, always will be until he is no longer a member of this organization. Public enemy number one. There could be a 1B, but he's always one. So, yeah, it's always been this way. This didn't just happen overnight. Miss Perry says, we will always have week one. Indeed, we will always have week one. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here after 1 a.m. on the East Coast. If you're a fan of the combine or the draft, I'll be live again tomorrow. Same with Saturday, same with Sunday, until we wrap the combine up. Anything happens on the Washington front, you'll see my face invading your space. But I don't think we'll hear anything. I was shocked that we heard about all of those, hirings earlier in the week, but I don't think we'll hear about anything else until after the combine has met its conclusion, like maybe Tuesday next week. I think they're going to hire Greg Lewis still to come over from Kansas City and take that wide receiver position as far as the wide receiver coach, position is concerned. So we'll be on the lookout for that, but I think that's a next week type of deal. So as we inch closer and closer to free agency, more moves will be made, more cuts may be made, some contract restructuring may take place. And then next week, we're going to start really focusing in on free agency because it'll be here before you know it. So that's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie T, here on the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I do have another super here from Gordo Americano, who writes, but when was the turning point for Dan? I think a lot of people were excited when he took over the team because he came in willing to spend. But I think it turned very quickly and you realize early on, like, uh-oh, this guy doesn't really get it. I was leery after he tried to get rid of Brad Johnson. First thing he wanted to do was get rid of Brad Johnson and insert Jeff George. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, chill, But I'm not going to lie. That 2000 year, even though all of them dudes was has-beens, I was excited about Dion. I was excited about Bruce Smith. I was excited about Mark Carrier. I was like, hey, we might really do the damn thing next year. So I think it was after that didn't work and he got mad at Marty after we started 0-6 or 0-5. Or was it 0-6? We were 0-5 and we was about to be 0-6, and LeVar Arrington picked that pass off up the sideline against Carolina, down 14-0. And Marty with 2 audibles, that the old joke, with 2 audibles, Kent Graham and Tony Banks almost took us to the playoffs. And we literally was a couple of choke jobs late in the season away from making the playoffs that year. But Marty was turning the shit around, and he got in his feelings, and because he wasn't having fun, fired Marty and brought in Spurrier. And once that took place, I think that's when most people was like, uh-oh, what the hell have we just done? That was the turning point, I think, was the 2001 season and getting rid of Marty Schottenheimer. And then hiring Spurrier, that being an abject disaster, and him just continuing to just win the offseason, throw money at players, but not really taking into consideration how to build a team, trying to buy a championship. So, yeah. Anyway. Mr. Ron B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy. Triple OG, Mr. Ron B writes, rest up, Lou. Appreciate you, brother. Likewise. Rest is definitely needed. And I'm hoping I can get some good rest here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Like, I got some good sleep on the cruise, on the vacation. But that was negated by an 18-hour drive home, in which I wasn't able to sleep in the car at all. So hopefully I can get some sleep. Anyway, I digress. Y'all get out of here, and I will kick it with y'all next week. For those of you, as I mentioned, into the combine, I'll see y'all tomorrow. In any event, y'all take care. As always, God bless, and good night.